Great. Oh, you're gonna get one? Okay. Top tobacco, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Cool.
Top tobacco, top papers.
Thanks. You got a lighter? You need this?
No, I got one.
This is like my third one I've rolled. Second one was a failure, first one was good. I think I'm just gonna start switching to this. If I can get it right and just get it right every time, it's worth it. I was always assuming that the tobacco wouldn't taste good, but
Oh, yeah?
it's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, tobacco's delicious if you get actual tobacco and not some shit they dug out of the dump. You know, if they're just growing grass, putting the clippings in there and then cutting it up fine to make it look like tobacco.
Right.
Well, most of it should probably be tested before they're allowed to sell it, like marijuana. Tobacco has a lot of different things that are very important, you know, for human well-being. Like nicotine is a pesticide. It will actually deter most pests, like spiders. Don't like nicotine.
Oh.
There's more than one way to apply it. You know, if you got a spider problem, you know, sprinkle the tobacco on you, or you can chew it up and spit it, like it atomizes it, like spits it, you know, and catch in the wind, or you can smoke it.
I like to smoke around spiders.
I'm pretty sure that's what they were.
Blow smoke on them and stuff. They always like.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what they used in they call it the Garden of Eden, but you know, like Garden of Eden dump. Instead of fig leaves, it was actually tobacco leaves. You know, it's just simply for the purpose of keeping spiders away.
Yeah. I've heard putting caffeine, like coffee.
Or not just spiders, probably most pests though, like flies, things like that. You know, keep the flies off of the private parts.
Interesting. Like tobacco leaves as a
pesticide. Well, the nicotine is what gets it. What is it?
Crabs or whatever they call it. You know, keeping.
Oh yeah, it would probably work. I mean, I hear crabs. You get them out in the wild anyway. I've only heard of one person ever got crabs, and he said he was fucking in the woods. So it's more than likely mites. You know, they got in his bush somehow. You know, or she was living out in the woods for a while, and it's probably like spider mites or some shit.
I hate those spider mites, the little red ones. I used to get ear infections.
Oh yeah, chiggers. That's what we used to call them. Chiggers. Yeah, they're on Queen Anne's lace.
Too small to really observe and notice it.
Yeah, it's like crazy though.
Yeah, they get in your ear and they'll dig in there, and the doctor has to go in there with like a microscope and tools.
Yeah, I think I had a tick in my ear when I was a kid.
I used to get them like regularly.
Right, really? Yeah, I used to
live. Pops up. And
and I used to live in the mountains, so and down south, so we get ticks all over the place. I'd go to baseball practice and it was under like pine trees, and it would be just raining down on me, like behind the pitcher, behind the plate. And then I got the last one I had was down here on my leg. I got it one night, and I pulled it off. Like I think I burned it off actually, and it left like a little piece into it, and it was like sending signals out of my leg for like a year straight. And I don't know how it finally came out. It's like they did like overnight surgery on me or some shit. I didn't even notice it. But yeah, it was sending like a signal. It would start itching when I got in certain situations. I didn't know what the situation was, but when my body began to release a certain hormone or pheromone, whatever they call it, it began to itch. So I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was hitting on there, but.
You know who Tesla is? Nikola Tesla?
Yeah.
So radio towers, and not necessarily radio towers, but the technology that makes it work is basically him. And radio towers, you're talking about your spider or whatever getting healed or whatever you said, and it's basically radio towers are related to that concept, like excessive inflammation and stuff like that.
Oh, you're saying that they have there's some correlation there?
He'd be nice guy to have around, you know, somebody who tinkers around and builds new stuff.
Sure, yeah.
With a lot of electronics.
Yeah. I was thinking yesterday there was a design that I was thinking of, like, conduit, a conductor's electric conduit. I would imagine it holds a minor charge there a little bit, you know.
It depends on the exact atoms inside of it.
I know that batteries work better in hot temperatures. Like if a battery gets warm, it's supposedly supposed to work longer. That's what they told us in the military anyway.
The cool trick to batteries is the opposite side of it. You put it in the fridge, and it'll help preserve the lifespan of it.
Really, I didn't know that.
Like,
I didn't know
I
that.
grew up with like metal hydride and nickel and aluminum kind of, or alkaline ones. So you put those in the fridge and it helps them last. But you're right about the a bit long.
Yeah, I'm like heating them up, but that's what they told us anyway. And then, what I was thinking is like the electricity. If there's some way to like preserve it inside a loop, right? I don't know what a Tesla coil actually. I'm not sure what a Tesla coil actually is. I've never really studied it much, but if there was a way to like to like feed it into like an input, the electricity into an input, and then somehow close off the connection to where you're able to secure that charge within a loop.
Yeah, the digital.
I mean, if the electricity is moving, right, from one point to another,
Mm-hmm.
I don't imagine that it would even out over the loop.
Yep.
Or maybe if you change the metal type inside the loop, then it would hit resistance. You know, it would hit resistance, and then it would get through the resistance and hit a fast spot, and then resistance and a fast spot.
Pinch or something like that.
I don't know. I was thinking about the other night, but if there was some way to like keep that going within like a closed loop, if that would intensify the charge at all. It's like if it would keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger within that loop, like would it pull electricity in from the outside of that loop, or would it just hold that charge?
The electricity on the inside that gets pulled in would be minuscule compared to what's required to charge it up in the first place. So you're getting small fluctuations, very small. It'd be like comparing a night light or a book light, like a tiny little book light to a street light. It's not a whole lot.
I wouldn't be talking about actually turning anything on with it, not to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
It would just simply be the amplification of the charge, like how to amplify that charge into something that would be more usable. So I can take like 1 volt of electricity, place it into a loop, and then let it hit resistance and for enough time that I can close the loop. And
Dude,
then,
you're talking about stuff
through.
that's actually been done since maybe the 70s or so.
Well, I mean,
They've been trying to
because I buy these
harness
phone chargers and shit for my phone because they take the outlets away from me. So I try to figure out ways to like get power to my phone. So now I'm thinking like wireless charging and stuff like that. But then the problem with wireless charging is that eventually someone's going to build a wireless charging system that is so large that it begins to draw all the electricity out from no matter where it's at.
Yep.
So if they put it on the other side of the world, if it's big enough, it'll essentially suck all the electricity to the other side of the world eventually.
You would think, yeah.
Unless you have a system of generating your own electricity, right?
In electromagnetic theory, you can learn about a near field effect. Just look it up on the internet. Near field.
Okay. Like near field communication.
Think of electricity going out and making waves, and then over here there's a near field, and that's where you can conduct electricity and charge it. So you get too far out, and it turns into waves. Out here, it's kind of like a particle, sort of, so you can charge stuff up. So sending energy out to the other side of the world, you got to imagine the idea of sucking poles.
Well, I see when I look at the electric lines. Like I see the power lines, and sometimes I look at them and I can see it like something like waves coming off of them.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, is that electricity? I mean, what the fuck is that coming off of those power lines? And then
yeah, dude. There's one Veneta, one like in Thurston, something like that. There's examples. You take those high-powered lines that they in like little
I've noticed the difference when I walk under it.
You can hear a buzz.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what
I've heard that. I've heard that before, but like when I walk under some power lines, I can feel a switch in my head go off. I don't know what it does, but I can feel it. I don't know if it's like positive, negative, or what.
That one's hard to describe.
But I've noticed that. I don't expect you to describe it. I notice it sometimes, but yeah. I was thinking of that earlier. If there's some way to like take a small charge and amplify it into a much greater charge,
Capacity.
I mean, it'd basically be doing what they said can't be done, which is make energy, but it would be just or not make energy, but destroy. Well, they say you can't create or or does that matter?
You can transform energy from
Transform
mass
it, but you
into
can't. But you can't
energy.
create any more than is already in existence, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Because
basically.
I know an atom bomb destroys matter.
Thermodynamics. 3 laws.
I wonder if they could make like a smaller, the concept of an atomic weapon versus a smaller version of the same thing. Like if
Thuron, or whatever that word is, compared to uranium, right?
thermodynamic or something.
No, there's a different kinds of nuclear reactors that you get pump electricity, heat water, and stuff like that. And we use uranium and seed it to plutonium and use seeding effects to create plutonium that seeds it back and forth. And that gives a high-powered, stable system, but it creates toxic and shit that lasts thousands of years. Like that. But thorium, or whatever that element is, we have a lot of it, and you can make a lower-powered one, but it's stable and it's not toxic for the rest of eternity. You know.
I was thinking this like the way I imagine an atom bomb is like when they dropped the one at Hiroshima or whatever. Supposedly it was just one atom, right? And they took one atom and they slammed it.
Uranium.
It starts at this end of the bomb, and when it hits the ground, it slams to the point at the bottom, or at the cone of the bomb, and then that destroys the atom, and you have your explosion. But what essentially happens is you destroy one atom, and the entire universe goes to fill that spot, right? It creates. I mean, that's basically what happens, right? I'm thinking that's what happens. I mean, you destroyed an atom. And so like water,
Do you know what
water in a
neutrinos
pond.
are?
Neutrinos?
Yeah.
I think it's like proteins or something, right?
Neutrinos, you have atoms. Below atoms, you have quarks. And when you get down to quarks and you start to try and transfer, you have to do physics stuff and read like long articles on Wikipedia. But you basically get a little bit of a leftover, and those are neutrinos. And you have neutrons inside of an atom. Neutrons and neutrinos. Neutrinos are tiny, basically tiny, and we're showered with them. The sun puts out tons of them. We're
Not
showered
like the
with
waves they're talking about, like the solar waves or whatever, solar radiation.
Neutrinos are closer to the concept of a particle. They're like a butterfly of a wave. Okay, closer to a particle, and they just go through you, right? Very small reactions. You have to use a heavy water kind of thing, very specific, create lots of it, and beg for the opportunity just to measure one of them, right? We have like maybe, when I learned about this, there might have been 5 really good ones that we had on Earth, and we study like neutron, atom bombs and hydrogen bombs and stuff like that to detect the signatures and see where it's coming from.
Right.
And with the quantity we have, we can actually detect the locations. Like, whenever North Korea is bragging about their metric tons or whatever they claim, we correct them because we have the technology to see it from a distance.
Has there ever been one that blew up in San Diego? Because I've been to San Diego and I've seen the overhead satellite images.
I don't know about that story.
I've been down there and I saw overhead satellite images from Bing or Google or something, and I noticed that there was when I was there, I felt like I had been hit with one. Like I felt like one had exploded, and I was actually on Camp Pendleton base. They dropped me off there in the middle of the base, and I just left me to walk in the middle of the night. But while I was there, while I was entering the base, it felt like it felt like an explosion had occurred while I was on the bus. And
I've had that happen in jail.
What happened was like the wind picked up, and it was all blowing in the same direction, and it just looked like a snowstorm, like a blizzard type thing, but it was like dust and grass and shit like that. But while I was there, I looked at overhead pictures, and I looked down, and all the grass there seemed burnt.
Yep.
And it wasn't like a fire, but it was like a heavy nitrogen dose had been applied to the grass, and it got scorched, like nitrogen scorched from over fertilization or not watering enough. And I noticed it there in San Diego, and it looked like it went outwards from a central location. But to cover something like that up, I can't even imagine what the government would have to do to cover that many deaths up.
It's not a cover-up. It's just there's nothing to say about it.
Or to keep people from knowing that an atom bomb had exploded in one of the largest metropolises in the world, right?
The government doesn't actually try to keep you from knowing things. They just give it to you in ways that
If they fucked
public
up
can
though,
handle. So you can find it on your own if you think a lot and do a lot of research, but it takes a lot
Yeah,
of work.
I've been. I mean, it took me like 30 years before Google would even acknowledge telepathic communications between humans.
Right.
I mean, it literally, like, I was searching for apps and books and everything on it for decades.
Yeah.
Before finally I
Get
ran
relevant
across
search
a
results,
Google
yeah.
Plus. It was a Google Plus post that someone had put on there, and it was talking more about it more. And I had to go on like the DEA website and read the past reports that had been unclassified about blind sight and stuff like that. How they brought in.
Have
this-
you heard of the stargazers? They declassified that one recently. They had psychic people, and they would basically psychically telepsychonesis or whatever they call it. Not kinesis, but telepsycho, whatever you call it. But you see things that happen that you can't have seen possibly.
Oh, right.
So you're seeing stuff that goes on, and they can confirm it. So they call them the ones that they can confirm are actually doing real stuff. They call them stargazers. But after a while, they kind of dissolve, and there's one left over that still did the work. And after a while, I don't know who did it, Obama or Bush or something like that, but somebody declassified it, and then now you can look it up. I think it's called stargazers, star something.
That's neat. Well, I saw this DEA. It was unclassified, but it was talking about this guy. He had a daughter, and the daughter was blind, but he tried to